In Corporate Body, entry number 6 in the My Dark Library series from Cemetery Gates Media, curated by Sadie Hart, R.A. Busby grounds a story of medical horror in a depressingly unfortunate reality. Narrator Nick Redacted begins the story with a familiar sign of the times, a search for stability and livelihood in a post-COVID world. Having dropped out of college and racked with debt, he ends up applying for medical surveys and drug trials, eventually leading to a prolonged stay at a drug corp facility where the bulk of the narrative takes place. Busby does a great job of getting us familiar with the world and our main character, a slightly jaded and cynical 20-something who's rolling with the punches. Through Nick's thoughts about and interactions with his father and his new drug trial friend Charlie, we get to know him and sympathize with some of his struggles. The narrative here is set up as a long journal entry, separated into parts. This was one factor that didn't entirely work for me. This is just a me thing, but I find that long stories presented as journal entries tend to stretch my suspension of disbelief sometimes. The story was largely written as a standard first-person narrative, with some asides from the present tense to touch on what's currently happening. I get the use of this, but the way people write in journals is a little different than how people write narratively. So there were times reading this where I was taken out of the story by what was meant to pull me in. This structure may add to the experience for some people, but I think I may have preferred a more straightforward telling of this with less redacted text and reminders that it's a journal entry. The body horror here is great, and the claustrophobic tone of the medical facility and the implications therein are pretty off-putting. Busby does a great job of taking us into this, at first unsettling if a little banal institution, and by the end having us connect with Nick's sense of isolation and loss of hope ever to get out. The descriptions of the gore and the transformative body horror were done well here, and for me were welcome deviations from the helplessness of the situation Nick was in. I mean that in a good way. There are a lot of different kinds of horror here, and I thought they were all handled well. There's the medical stuff and the transformative stuff, but also subtler things like combat trauma, isolation, total powerlessness, and some good stuff relating to family. Relationship between parents and children is a running theme here. It pops up a few times. Nothing got me too down, and it didn't get too out there either. At around 96 pages, the words are used efficiently, and the pace keeps up throughout. It does a good job of working into your mind, or maybe into your lower abdomen. I'd certainly recommend Corporate Body for anyone who wants a snappy horror novella with enough grounding to make you a little dismal. You can check out rabusbybooks.weebly.com and also cemeterygatesmedia.com to find out more and to score yourself a copy of Corporate Body by R.A. Busby. What do you say, Winston? How'd you like this one?
I'd give Corporate Body by R.A. Busby 7 slimy FDA-approved tentacles.